All right, welcome everybody. Looks like you guys are teleporting into the webinar. And looks like a lot of you have your screens off, which might be an automatic default. I would love if you turned your screens on. It's a lot more energizing to coach a group of people that I can actually see and interact with. So if you're able to turn your video on, I would really appreciate that. And then in the meantime, Carlos, if you want to go ahead and kick it off, and then we'll get started.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Top 5 Things That Drive Away ISA Talent with MAPS Coach Anna Krueger. Please note this webinar is being recorded, and you will have access to the webinar recording within 24 hours. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me, Anna. Take it away.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome everyone. Today's webinar is about what drives away ISA talent. So I would actually love to hear from you guys through the chat box. You can use the chat box for this, which you'll find across the bottom of the screen. And let me know what piqued your interest about this webinar. So maybe you are an inside sales agent. Maybe you have them on your team or you're thinking of adding them to your team. But if you would just let me know what attracted you to this webinar today, what's the context, that would be awesome. And then again, we just had more people join. If you're able to turn on your camera, I would appreciate that. It's a lot more fun to teach to faces than dark screens. So no judgment. I actually came from the gym not long ago and I made my hair look nice and now here I am. So we're all in the boat, right? We all are at home probably. Feel free to turn on your camera. Okay, looks like a lot of you are thinking of hiring an ISA. How are we attracting to retain ISAs? Perfect. Oh, you have one starting July 1st, which is great. Okay, so let's talk through what not to do, which will in turn tell you what to do. So where this comes from, just for some context, a lot of you are new faces. I've been an inside sales agent since 2006. I've been a virtual ISA. I've been a local ISA where I was in-house with a team. And I've been coaching ISA since 2008. Some of that in the real estate industry, some of that outside the real estate industry. So I have a lot of knowledge of what works, what doesn't work. And now I actually lead the coaching program for Rainmakers, as well as the separate coaching program for the ISA for MAPS group coaching. So that's where the context is coming from. So before this webinar today, I did two things. I polled over 5,000 ISAs and I thought through all of my failures of what I've done wrong. And that's how we got our list of top 5 things that ISAs say, if you did that as my leader, I probably would not stay on your team. So really good info. So let's jump in. So the first thing is lack of leadership. And I asked them in the poll, what do you mean by that specifically? What kind of leadership are you looking for? And what they said is they're looking for a leader that will demonstrate for them what to do. So for example, if you want to lose a talented inside sales agent, hire them, stick them on the phone, perhaps put them in a room by themselves or have them working from home, totally isolated, and wish them good luck. That would be a way to fail with an ISA. I actually was coaching an ISA recently who I think was talent. I do think she had quite a bit of talent actually. And she was coaching at home away from her team. She never got to hear anyone, even through Zoom, totally isolated. And she lasted about 2 months. And then she left the team. And I saw talent in her. So what they're looking for is someone to show them how it's done by action. So what that looks like, it could look like maybe you're the rainmaker or an agent on the team, actually lead generating with them. Now, maybe you lead a team that has 10 agents and you're no longer actively in production. Well, it doesn't have to be you showing them how to do lead gen, but they want someone showing them how to do lead generation. When I started my team, one of the best things that helped me learn what to do was my rainmaker and I would sit in the same room and he would lead generate while I lead generated for 3 hours every morning. Now, there was definitely some formal training, right? We had training where we sat down and it was like a classroom training environment. What I can tell you though is most of what I learned about inside sales and real estate was just listening to what he said and then repeating it on my calls. It also showed me it's important enough that my leader is doing this activity with me. So that tells me this really is a business critical activity. Now, again, sometimes I hear rainmakers say, well, I'm not active on the phone anymore. I haven't been in 2 years. I have a large team. Well, then someone else on your team could. But the idea is we're not hiring this person, putting them in a room isolated by themselves and wishing them good luck, right? We're actually demonstrating for them what to do. So that was actually the number one thing. Again, I pulled over 5,000 ISAs. The number one thing they told me is I want a leader that actually demonstrates lead generation with me. So that's number one. All right, number two, to hit goals. A lot of clarity on how to hit goals. So I'm curious because I can see a lot of you can use the chat box. How many of you are with the economic model, which you can read about in this book right here, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book? Good, it looks like Jean is. Anyone else familiar with this, the economic model from this book? Dave, awesome. So if you're unfamiliar, the idea of that is okay. Can you all see me? Hear me? Okay. Did anybody else get kicked out or was that just me? All of a sudden the window just shut down, but my internet was still working. So I'm not sure what just happened, but thank you guys for hanging in there. Okay, so where did we leave off? So I had just finished saying that the number one thing they're looking for is leadership by example specific to lead gen activities. The second thing, I'm not sure if you heard it, was a lack of a clear path. And I had just asked you guys who is familiar with the economic model. If you're not familiar, the idea of the economic model is that you figure out how much money you want to make. So this ISA would figure out their personal income goal. We're not telling them what their goal is. We're asking them, what is your personal financial goal? And that usually takes time. We don't want them to just say, oh, this number sounds good. We actually want them to think through, how much debt do you want to pay off this year? Maybe they have a certain vacation they want to go on. What will that cost them? How much money do they want to put towards a down payment on a house? So usually this takes some time to cipher through. In the Mastering Inside Sales group program, we spend 2 weeks on this very thing of figuring out your financial goal. So there are tools that can help them do that. Yet the idea of the economic model is we're figuring out what is this person's income goal, and then the economic model helps them figure out exactly what they need to do every day to hit that goal. So for example, what we would not want to do is say it is possible to make $100,000 in this job in a year and then not tell them the activities they need to do that. What they are looking for is to say, you can make $100,000 in this job when you do these activities based off tracking and metrics. So they're looking for a path. They want to know, how do I hit my personal goal? Now, I definitely believe that you should be giving them a minimum, right? So to be on our team, we need 5 appointments set a week from you, something like that. That's not what I'm talking about here. That would be more just like a team standard. But true ISA talent usually personally wants to far exceed the goal you've given them. where they might say 5 appointments a week, I would never hit my income goal. Then what is your personal financial goal is what we want to find out from this ISA, and then help them figure out what they got to do to get there. To give you a very specific example, if you want to just jot this down, once an ISA has been in their position about 6 months, assuming that they've had good training is really important for this. On average, 75 contacts would earn them 1 closing. That's an average. So for example, to keep talented ISAs, we would want to tell them that, hey, once you're well trained at a good, you have been here about 6 months, you have your pipeline built, assuming you're converting at national averages, 75 contacts would earn you a closing. For your income goal, you need 75 closings. That means this many contacts throughout the year. That means this many contacts a week. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know how to figure that out for myself, then I recommend reading the economic model in the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, because this will tell you exactly what to do. And Dave, I see you nodding your head in agreement. You can see mine is a little bit tattered here. I use it a lot, but the economic model chapter will teach you exactly how to figure out how to hit the income goal. I'll be honest with you guys, when I polled the 5,000 ISAs to hear their opinions, I was actually really surprised that that was the second most common answer. I expected it to be things like lack of feedback or, a boring work environment, things like that. And they said, we want to know our daily activities to hit our financial goal. And when we don't know that, it's demotivating. So number one, they want leadership from a lead generation standpoint. They want to see it in action. 2, they want a clear path of how to hit their income goal. Not it's possible, but actually what do I need to do every day in order to make sure that that income happens for me? That's what they're looking for. All right, number 3. I think getting kicked offline has thrown me off my counting game. Sorry. All right, number 3. The other thing that will drive away talented ISAs is untrained agents. Untrained agents. Now, are any of you here inside sales agents? Anyone? And if your camera's off, you could use the chat box. What I'll tell you, okay, good. It looks like April is an ISA. Perfect. So perhaps you can speak into this as well. Marcy's an ISA. I'm glad you guys are here, so feel free to speak up as well. What we find is ISAs get really good at setting quality appointments, assuming they're the right person and assuming they've had the training. They are actually usually the best appointment setter on the team because that is their one thing. Their one thing is lead generation, lead conversion. They have more time on task generating business. What will frustrate an ISA very quickly is cultivating a lead for 6 months, building a relationship, getting them into rapport. They set the appointment and the agent shows up to that appointment in a haphazard way. They have not prepared. I see Marcy nodding her head. She is an ISA, so there you go. Or not preparing, not practicing the objection handlers. So as an ISA, when I set appointments for agents, I will tell them, hey, when I mentioned that they may be signing paperwork, they had some hesitation. So before this appointment, make sure you're practicing the paperwork agency objection handler, because I have a feeling you're going to get that one on this appointment. Here's the thing. We don't expect our agents to sign every single appointment we send them on, right? This is sales. 80% is a good signature ratio. However, we have to trust the agent and know that they're actually practicing and scripting before they go in that appointment. Because then when they come back, I know Annalisa, one of our listing agents that I used to set for, if she came back and didn't get it, there was no question in my mind that anyone could have gotten it. Because if Annalisa didn't get it, I don't think anyone could have gotten it because she scripted, she invested in her training. And the thing is, our income is dependent upon the agent locking that down. Now, I will say just real quick, I also know agents need to know that the ISAs are trained, right? So if you're an agent, you're going to want to know that your ISA isn't putting people in your calendar that aren't actually qualified, right? So it does go both ways, and we absolutely acknowledge that. However, this webinar is called What Drives Away ISA Talent. So we're focusing on that specifically. But just know, we understand that the agent needs to trust the ISA, and the ISA needs to trust the agent. Now, Marcy, I see you nodding your head a lot. Anything you want to add to that point about scripting and trusting the people that you work with? You can unmute if you would like.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched a big point there, is both sides needing to be trained, and we do script practice with agents and ISAs together twice a week. So that also just builds confidence around how we're all relating with the each client. So yeah, I mean, that's a big deal, is making sure that everyone's trained.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Tim Heil. Anyone know Tim Heil? If you're with Keller Williams or not, actually, he's making a big splash in the market. One thing I appreciate about something he does is he has his agents test out in front of the entire team, and then same thing for the ISAs. So what I mean by that, I actually know, I've never been on his team or anything, yet his first listing agent he ever hired to replace himself, just take a guess. How many listings do you think she closed? Not got under contract. How many listings do you think a new agent on his team, first replacement, took her or closed her first year? Anyone want to take a guess? I mean, my mind was like completely blown when she said this number. 144. 144 listings sold her first year, no previous experience. And this was when the team was still small. She was the first listing agent hire after Tim. So it wasn't like they had the team that they have now, which is huge all around the country. They were still a small team at the time. Well, I started asking a lot of questions, just like you probably would, right? Like, what did you do? How did you close 144 your first year? Tell me your secrets. And she said, Tim had me test out in front of the team because he understood the ISA income is dependent in part on them and their skill, but also on my skill to close out their appointments. And he understood the value of trust. And I thought that was such a great idea. And that's when I started implementing that into my trainings. And then on the flip, let's have our ISAs test out in front of the agents. Because if I'm an agent, if I put myself in your shoes as an agent and someone else is filling my calendar, I want to be really sure that they know how to screen people, because I don't want people in my calendar that aren't actually qualified. And so it definitely goes both ways. So number one would be lack of leadership in lead generation activities. Number two would be lack of a clear path on how to hit the income goal. Number three would be agents are untrained. So these are the 3 out of 5 things that will drive away ISA talent. All right, let's go on to number 4. This is closely tied to agent training. But another 4th thing that will drive away talent is canceling an appointment that they set without discussing with the ISA. So let me give you an example. When you look at the paper, or maybe it's electronic, however you get the information for the appointment you're going on, I understand sometimes it looks bad, right? Have you ever had an appointment in your calendar and you look at it and you're like, okay, they want, $400,000 and they live in a $300,000 neighborhood? Unreasonable, cancel. Right? Anybody ever been in that situation? Well, I remember clearly that situation happening on my team. And Haro, my lead agent, came to me and he said, hey, I'm thinking of canceling this appointment because we can look at, they're unreasonable. We're never going to get this number that they want. I'm so glad he talked to me, because I was able to tell him, what you don't know is the husband and the wife are fighting constantly because of the house location. She hates it. She hates the house. She hates the location. She hates living on the mountain. They're fighting. And so I don't think they're going to love the numbers, but they have a lot of equity and he wants the marriage to work. And so Haro was like, okay, I'll go on it. Well, they ended up signing a listing agreement. Now, if Haro had just looked at the paper and canceled off numbers, we would have missed a great opportunity, right? So another thing that will drive away ISA talent is an agent canceling an appointment that ISA set for them without discussing with the ISA. Now, maybe it's something that in discussing it with the ISA, you discover, yeah, we actually really should cancel this one. That's a training opportunity. So I will also say there were times that Haro and I talked and just together discovered, yeah, maybe this isn't one I should have set, but he would train me so that the next time I would be better. Got it? And so you got to make sure you're discussing with your ISAs. Sometimes we're nurturing a lead for 6 months, a year. Marcy, you can probably attest to this, April. I mean, it can be months and months and months and months that we're nurturing these leads. It is painful to see them get canceled without some sort of discussion or training around it. Okay. So that's number 4, basically lack of communication and canceling appointments without discussing. Okay. The last and final thing, and this is a really big one. I usually feel my cheeks get kind of hot when I'm talking about it, is treating it as an entry-level position. Now, if you've heard me train on this before, you might have heard this story. I'm going to share it again. I was in our lead gen room and we called it the bullpen. And there were 2 agents in there one day and we were kind of doing admin type stuff. And I heard them say the agent role is more respectable than the ISA role, which first, why would you say that in front of an ISA, right? But I immediately was like, excuse me? And I said, what gives you that impression? Because in my mindset, it's all equal, right? Gary Keller says that lead generation, lead conversion is the first domino in your business. Now, let me be clear. All positions are important, right? If we do not have quality operations walking through contract to close, we can generate all day long, not have any closings. We need people doing all positions. However, can we all agree if we don't have solid lead gen, lead conversion, everything else goes away. We won't have any transactions to transact, right? And so when I asked the agents, what gave you the impression that the ISA is subpar or not as important as being an agent? And they said, well, on our team, you start as an ISA and then you become an agent. So that's like the entry level position. And what we realized is we created this culture because we were saying everyone starts as an ISA and then you graduate into the agent position. Well, that makes it sound entry level, doesn't it? And what we were really wanting to do is say, lead gen, lead conversion is such an important skill. All new hires will do that for 3 months before they become an agent because it's that important. But our wording made it sound as if it was entry level. Make sense? And so we quickly changed that on our team and it became the first 3 months, everyone, ISAs, listing agents, buyer agents, everyone that's new is an agent in training. After 90 days, you graduate and you become an ISA, a listing agent, or a buyer agent. The truth is nothing actually changed except for the way that we talked about it. And that made all the difference. So we want to understand the ISA position is not an entry-level position. In fact, it's going to require some of the highest talent on the team. When you read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, Gary talks about that's usually one of your last hires because, and it's not like a 7th level hire, but it's one of those hires that you just don't give up your lead gen until you know for sure you have found the right person. So when I hear people talk about the ISA position of who can I find and pay them the cheapest and, make it like a call center type environment, that's actually not what we want. We want this position to be respected and we want it to be understood. This is a rainmaking position. The ISA role is a rainmaking position. When you have the right talent, it's going to feed everything else. I know as an ISA, I have thought many times, I don't feel like making a call. I don't feel like making one more call right now. And I really want to keep our operations team employed. So I should probably make another phone call, right? Like they really do carry a lot of the weight of the business on their shoulders because they are the ones that bring in business. So that would be the fifth thing that would drive away ISA talent. And the keyword there is talent, is treating it like an entry-level position. So let me recap those 5. Then I'm going to give you some resources, and then I'll open it up for questions. So number 1, lack of lead gen example. So not leading by example in the category of lead gen. They want to see you doing it yourself. Number 2, lack of a clear path to their financial goals. So they want to know, what do I need to do today to hit my income goal? The third thing would be the agents are untrained, so they're not handling those appointments. The fourth thing would be lack of follow-up and lack of communication around appointments set. So canceling something without actually discussing it. And then the fifth thing would be treating it as entry level. Okay, don't do those 5 things. And then you will have a high chance of keeping a talented ISA. So let me give you guys a couple resources, and then I'll open it up to questions. So for years, 6 years, we've been doing webinars like this one and recording them. And there's a whole library of these. So if you go to ISAMAPScoaching.com, you'll see this website, and there is a section called free resources. When you click on free resources, you will see a whole bank of pre-recorded webinars that you can watch for free. There's also some downloads in there for you. The other thing that you'll find right here, how to hire and keep ISAs. Our next class is July 8th. So basically what we just talked about, expand it to 5 hours with way more detail. So what are the traits you're looking for in an ISA? Where do you hire them? Like, where do I find the talent? What websites am I using? How do I compensate them? Should they be licensed or unlicensed? Do I do the junior agent model or the inside sales model? Which one is right for me and my team? We also talk about, how do you know that you're getting your return on investment? So how much are you paying them? How many closings do they need to bring you for that to make sense? Then the second half of the class, so class 3, 4, 5, we really talk about retention. So what are things that you can do that creates an environment that's going to make this person want to stay on your team? So that class right here, if you go to ISAMAPScoaching.com and then click on how to hire and keep ISAs, you will see that class right there, July 8th, that begins. And then we also have a class for the actual inside sales agent on lead generation and lead conversion. And that class is found right here as well. So again, ISAMAPScoaching.com. I'll stick that. Oh, it looks like Carlos did that for us in the chat box. You can see those 2 programs. Perfect. Okay, what questions do we have? We have about 3 minutes, and then we're going to end on time to respect your time today. So what questions do you guys have? Or you could share a takeaway from this class.
And I've got a question.
Sure.
So for the first rule, they want an ISA would want a leader that will demonstrate for them what to do and lead generate with them. So,
Yeah.
Understanding that, obviously we would need to do that when we're training.
Your audio's cut out. I don't know if that's anybody else. I heard
Can
you
you hear
say
me?
that. Yeah. Say that last section again.
Sure. So after a training period, then you've got your ISA up and running.
You just broke out again. Maybe put it in the chat box. Yeah. So I heard you say after the training period, you have your ISA up and running, and then it cut out. Thank goodness for the chat box. Okay, while he's typing that in, what other questions do you guys have? Okay, Jean says, if we get the ISA to, you type really fast, by the way. If we get the ISA to a point where they're trained and successful, can you step away? Yes, you absolutely can. Remember, the model is I do it as your leader, I'll do it and show you. Then we do it together. So you do it, I do it, same time. And then eventually you do it. Because now I've transferred my knowledge and my expertise, my skill set to you, and now you're running with this. So yeah, it's not like you need to do that forever. Haro and I lead generated together for maybe 6 months. And then at that point I had it. Like I knew what to do. I had it down, and then he went on and did other things. Yeah. And by the way, he still lead generated. We just weren't always together doing that. Great question. What other questions do you guys have? By the way, thanks for being with us today. Anything else? All right, looks like we're all set. So again, check out that class, July 8th, how to hire, train, and retain ISAs. We actually have some recordings there you can check out in the meantime while we're waiting for class to begin. And then also the Mastering Inside Sales class. We have one running right now. We're 5 weeks in out of 18. So if someone is on your team and you want to get them in right away, they could go ahead and sign up and get 5 weeks of on demand. So everything's been recorded up to this point. If they're not on your team yet, we have another class starting August 4th. So August 4th would be the next time we launch that class. Perfect. All right, I think I answered everything. You guys are welcome. Thank you for being here today, and hopefully I will see you in class before too long. Have a great day.